to normal.
Oh, yeah, me. Yeah, me. I'm the one who's condescending.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah, that's exactly what we're saying.
yeah.
So our pal Grant, just before we dive too into it, big time boiler, he said he was going to have a live call-in show. Last night we were trading notes on Twitter, and he said, I just wrote him. I said, hey, I think we're going to have a 9:00. So if you want to do it, you may not want to overlap because there's a lot of people that want to listen to both. And he said, oh, I'll do it like an appetizer. It'd be great. And so he sends me a message at like 9:40. He's like, hey, did I miss it? What happened? I said,
Our 9:00 is Central, even though it's not.
Right, even though none of us
we're all Eastern. We're all Eastern time.
But he said he did a call-in show, Jay. You're going to appreciate this. And it went 2 hours because the calls are all long. And I told him, I warned him. I said, hey, you got to wrangle the callers. Got to wrangle the callers.
You don't realize how hard talk radio is until you do that yourself. Like the knowing when to end the conversation, knowing when to just disconnect them. That's very difficult.
It's funny, Anish, were you ever part of the live caller show? You weren't.
I listened
so what
to
Jay
it,
and I found, we enjoyed the show doing it, and then we'd listen to it. We're like, this is horrible. Like
I listened to it because those weren't podcasts. So you didn't go back and re-listen, and so it's like going to a concert where it's like when you're in the moment, it sounds great, but then don't go listen to it afterwards because then you'll hear the imperfections.
Right, right.
As we've talked about, going back to then,
that was really a cold open right there.
There wasn't a lot of content, so we were providing something.
Right,
that was the Hazel era.
Those were dark days.
Right.
Really.
No, it was way before Hazel.
No, yeah, you're right. It was early.
That like 08.
Yeah, no, it was still. It was still
very
Tiller.
End of Tiller.
Yeah, it's Tiller.
Yeah. Coming up in a month, the site will hit 16 years.
Oh, I'm driving. What kind of car you're buying for it?
So it would be
06.
May. So it'd be May. We could get a license for Boiled Sports.
True, it's driver's permit time. You just got to teach it how to drive now.
Yeah,
which is
already going out. Getting hours with Jay.
You can get your pilot's license before 16, right?
Yeah,
that's
before
insane.
16? Before 16?
I think so.
It's
not a license. You can at least get a probationary license where you can fly with somebody else.
I took a flying lesson earlier this year.
Gotta go.
And it was fine. I'm still here.
That's true.
The pilot who was taking me out looked really young. Now, I'm under the impression I'm aware.
Hey, mister!
I'm aware
pull back
that everyone looks young to me.
Yes.
So I wasn't trying to. So I'm like, hey, he's like, do you have any questions? And I was like, yeah. How long have you been a pilot? And he's like, almost 2 years. I was like,
he's still measuring it in months, 18 months. It's just fine.
16 months.
That's
almost
great.
2 years, which means like 12 months. I was like, oh, okay.
Closer to 2 years than you.
Well, right.
That's right.
I'm not saying I'm not casting aspersions. I'm simply saying when you say to someone, hey, we're going to go do something where if you make a mistake, it's certain death. How long have you been doing this? And they say 25 years. You go, all right. That's fine. 10 years.
You keep inviting me to Purdue football games, and that could mean certain death. There's a chance.
I've been doing that for years. No, I'm very experienced. I've done this for a long time.
This is true. This is true. You're right.
Oh, wait. Something big happened. I just realized this, Jay.
I know.
This is huge. This is like your first victory.
Yes.
In a decade.
8 years, something like that?
At least 10.
Oh my gosh!
10.
Let's repeat this factoid for the listener. This is a big deal. It really.
I don't come that often. When you look back at it, it's not.
I know you pick
often.
big games on purpose, and big games for Purdue usually means certain doom.
I went back season by season, and I could not find a game I was at that Purdue won. The best I can guess, they beat Minnesota back-to-back years in 11 and 12, I believe. And I think I was at least one of those. It seemed familiar. It was like 31-17. I feel like it was at one of those.
Did they lose or win against Michigan when you were there in the rain?
They lost that game. That was a Rich Rod game. They lost. It's right around the one that they won, but that was up at Michigan.
Right. That was like a year before then.
Right. So that's amazing to me, even to me. Like
Kyle,
my son
turn up your speakers, Kyle.
The reason I the reason it came up is because my son was talking about how he hadn't seen a win at Purdue. We were discussing that. He only been to 2 at Ross 8, so he's 1 for 2. That's not bad.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, when was the last time I saw one win there? And it was a depressing exercise to go back through the annals of history.
But you stick with it because you're.
But I stopped coming during the Hazel era. I'm not sure. I might have come. I don't know if I came to any when Hazel was good. I must have. I must have.
I think you came to 1.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I think you came to 1.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. So before we go any further, I'd like to just say welcome to the Handsome Hour. What? It's only
I think we should get far further before introducing the podcast.
Yeah, 6 minutes.
If you're here listening, you know what the hell you're listening to. This is like
you got yourself into this poison. You can't get out. Now you're here.
This isn't. You don't accidentally happen upon a Purdue podcast, and if you do, you're not going to happen upon ours. It's
no.
If you happen upon
optimization, we don't have it. We ain't got it.
Right.
We didn't pay the extra for it.
Right. No. So I'm Jay. I'm joined by Boiler Dowd. And
Hello.
Anish.
Hello. We're matching in our sweatshirts.
Those of you watching on video, you'll see we are wearing the owner's exclusive Boiled Sports hoodie. A handful of you have these, so you know how special it is to have one of these.
This is one of the things that Jay does for people that he cares for about. Every now and again, he'll send them sweatshirts.
I love how it bothers you when I do that.
No, I love it. Honestly, I thought that was one of the best things you've done for the site. That was really cool because the people you sent it to, we've had personal connection to. We've been around at one thing or something. I thought it was great. I really did. I thought, and it was a total surprise to me. I got the long sleeve and the hoodie. That's great. And a hat, but I gave the hat away. But not because I didn't like it. It's because a friend of mine who's an IU alum said, if you got me a BS thing, I'd wear it. And I said, I'll do that.
I have a thing for that.
And I've seen him wearing it. So it's great.
Really?
Yep.
I like Dylan, who we met. We met Dylan Kuhn over the weekend at the game. And Dylan confided that he's got a melon so big, he custom makes his own hats. And
it's incredible.
He buys $6 hats that he knows fit him, and then he puts whatever he wants on the hat, which is a great, like, once you find one you like, go with it. And he said he wears the Boiled Sports hat because it fits him. I love it.
It's awesome.
Love it. Yeah. So yeah, you mentioned that was the first win I've been to in person in a long time. Now I've been to wins. Let me be clear, just not at Ross 8. So I saw them win. Anish and I saw
UConn.
Dolan Internet is back. Dolan Internet is back. It's the revenge of the Dolan.
Oh, it was so good.
I know. See, here's the thing. The problem is that when you start talking about Purdue wins, God just it's like, nope, don't count too many.
So Anish, you were with him at UConn, right?
I was. Which
is there another
that was like a high school stadium. It was terrible.
He gone.
He gone.
So you saw them lose at Rutgers.
We did. Oh, 12-14, correct.
You did not choose to go to Maryland or Syracuse this year.
No, I really wanted to do the Maryland game, but there's a wedding.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I really wanted to make that trip.
You said there was another win. What was it?
Yeah, I cut out, I guess. Are you hearing me now?
I know. You were at the Arizona Bowl game.
I was at the Foster. That's what I said, and you guys couldn't hear me. I was at the Foster Farms Bowl.
That's a big one.
That was a great one.
Yeah. By the way, Greg McManus just signed on, and we gotta wrap it up for him. He's got to get to bed.
You won't be surprised, Greg, to learn that we've just gotten going. No, the Foster Farms Bowl. Honestly, that was one of the most fun Purdue games I've ever been to, and that's a weird thing.
Why? Why was that so fun? Because you didn't expect anything? What was it?
Because. No, not that I didn't expect anything, because it culminated Brahms' first season, which I guess you could say nobody expected anything. It was Eli Sindelar, and you guys know how much I love Elijah Sindelar.
Yeah, he's great.
And it was
cannon of an arm.
And it was a comeback back and forth game. It was one of those bowl games that you sit around the holidays and you watch.
If you didn't predict Mahongo to go off in that, what were you paying attention?
What is it? Does Sindelar have an office? Sindelar has an office job right now. How does he survive? Like, how do people around him survive if he hands them things? It's insane. His rocket.
The weird thing is he never handed anything off, so he's still learning how to do that.
You're right. He can't make the pitch,
Just
coach.
throws it at him right in their
No, when
face.
somebody needs a stapler, he just whips it across. Yeah, exactly.
So he's in his second
Dents
job.
in
He had
the-
his second job already. He moved back towards Kentucky, I believe. And the thing I always think of, I like try to wrap my head around is somebody's like, hey, anybody want to play like, office softball or any sport? And
Elijah, you're on my team.
Yeah, I got him. I got the 6'4"
like the
demigod over there.
The Thanksgiving like flag football game or something like that. Yeah, touch football game. You're gonna break all your
guy
fingers,
that
man.
has NCAA eligibility. Yeah, I'll take him. I'll take that one.
He's got to have a COVID year, right?
He could play right now. That's the wild thing. I've thought about it too many times.
Oh, wait a minute. That's a great point. With AOC questionable, bring back Elijah.
I know,
just for a game, buddy. You got a game in you?
Just warming up.
Yeah.
He enrolls in one class.
Oh,
It's like
him
necessary
to
roughness.
him to
Scott
Charlie
Bakula going
Jones.
back to play quarterback. That was on one of my shitty movie channels, by the way. And any sports movie, it's hard to
Oh,
not watch.
unnecessary roughness.
Necessary roughness.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah, necessary.
Scott
Thank you.
Bakula as the quarterback. Sinbad. Jason Bateman at like 22 years old. And they what's funny is, sports movies, like they'll either play real teams because they'll get like permission from NFL or college or whatever, or they won't. They'll be made up teams. Well, the amazing thing about Necessary Roughness is they played like the Kansas Jayhawks. They played real teams, but then the number one team in the country was Texas. It was not Texas. It was the Texas Colts. It was like a made up team from like Any Given Sunday. It was the weirdest, like, are you guys using just if you had permission to use some schools, make one of them the number one team in the country.
Maybe it was you couldn't nobody give him permission to beat a team.
Oh,
did all those other teams beat them?
That's a good point, maybe. But they were Texas State, and I believe Texas State exists, don't they?
It's a real school.
Yes. Yeah. That movie it's hilarious and dumb and but I was in high school and I remember going to see it in the theater because it was a football movie and I'm an idiot and I like watching teams that lose a lot. So that obviously is carried through. So getting back to the win this weekend. So they beat Florida Atlantic on homecoming. And the best way I can describe this, you guys have certainly experienced this. This is the kind of game. What?
The win.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, it was a win.
No, what I'm going to get to is I'm sure you've both experienced this. You wake up in the morning and for a second you're like, they did win. Right. Okay.
They did. Yeah. I feel bad, but yeah.
Well, you wake up thinking, oh gosh, no, they did win. They did.
Like waking up after Boiler Dad and I were spent, as we do usually, we spent the entire the pre-podcast talking about fast foods. It's like the morning after eating Taco Bell, fourth meal. It's like the morning after fourth meal. You're like, you ate fourth meal. It was great. It was delicious every time. But now it's the morning.
Now
and you feel just
you're gonna pay for that one.
Man, that was it felt probably worse than it actually was because I know you went through things on the quick cast.
Yeah.
And they there were some things that were fine. The quarterback play was more than fine.
I was fine with
with
Burton.
Solid. That's the word I use. I just solid.
Yeah, and more than that, it was when the coach's game plan matches the player's skill set, right, perfectly, and like matches the defense that he sees, right.
That's
and so like
for that. That was good. That drive was so dialed in.
It was calm. I mean, there was the one just telegraphed interception in the third quarter, but like, other than that, like he made good decisions. He took the top off like once, but even then, it was just kind of a deep sideline to Charlie Jones. Exactly. Mostly it was just. I mean, for Charlie Jones, the margin of error is a little bit bigger. But
that play on fourth down, guys. Oh. I was like, he's toast, right? Because it was down in our end of the field, and I was like, why are they running short routes? He went underneath. He gained an extra 3 yak, right? Huge play. So let's look. Can we real quickly? Let me see if I can do this, and you guys can help me. Let's think of key plays. I talked about this in my wrap, but I think that play was huge. Charlie Jones getting the first down on fourth and whatever it was. I think the toe tap by Sheffield was massive.
Yeah, I think that's
incredible play.
Honestly.
And Sheffield, I don't give him enough credit because he makes so many boneheaded plays That was a great control play. I would say the wheel route to Maccabee towards our corner was an awesome play. Um, the
Maccabee and
obviously
Downing
Jefferson's
had awesome. I
yeah.
mean,
Oh, Downing played great, 113 yards rushing. But the Jefferson's interception off the
pick. Yeah,
carom by Wahlberg, that's a
yeah.
huge play. And then, of course, the fumble being returned by Kane. These are
The
big.
Sanusi Kane fumble, and then exactly the interception, but then also the 2 point conversion interception, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Who uh,
It's
who
an
was
awful. Oh, it was Cam
Terrible play
Allen.
call. Terrible play call.
Terrible
yeah.
play
I
call,
mean,
terrible execution. It was a
he probably would have had a
Yeah.
better shot at running it himself, right?
Yes.
And I
Oh,
guess
they have
Absolutely.
one
that
guy
was
to
on
beat.
that was on the opposite side. It was their number one, wide receiver that was burning us all game, like that was burning
Was
the
it number 8 or
corners.
86? Because the little
Something.
guy was good, and the big guy were those two extremes. Because they had 86 looked like a beast. He was tall, athletic, long strides, and then
Handsome.
number 8 looked like he's about my height.
But
But if he got on a gallop, oh boy, no Purdue DBs
I mean,
could stay in front of him.
I think getting back to like the Syracuse game, the penalties were just as important, right? The pass interference that was an interception, but it was pass interference. And again, I say pass interference in the most liberal definition of it. I didn't, I saw it, and it was almost like he didn't really push Payne Durham out of the end zone, but he kind of guided him, like he was kind of like hands up in the air and kind of ran him out the back of the end zone. Like if you're Payne Durham, if you're a second round second round draft prospect, like you got to body him, like you've got to get inside of him, like
Yeah, Payne had a weird game too because I thought it would have been a great opportunity for him to make some noise, and he really didn't do it. They bottled him up all day. A lot of people were like, "It's weird," Purdue Twitter is horrible. We all know that.
it's just Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter sucks. It's awful. But people were like angry at Payne Durham, like, whoa, let's pump the brakes.
No, I mean, like I
know
didn't
you're
think.
not, but
No, but
like,
I didn't
people
think he
are
had a
angry
bad
at
game.
Payne Durham, and I'm like,
I didn't think he had a bad game, but that interception it should have been a pick in the end zone, and instead Purdue ends up scoring.
Can you guys help me with one call? There's one call that makes me scratch my head more than anything, and that is the defensive holding by Branson Dean. I have no idea why they made that call. I've watched the play over on video. I watched it in person, and I watched it on the big screen. Did you see something happen there?
Mm-mm.
Like, I'm not trying to be funny. I really didn't see it. I don't understand it. I don't know what would be gained by a defensive tackle holding on that play. So that's why I'm so confused by the play. Do you guys remember the flag that I'm talking about?
Yeah. Because it blew. It was again on a third down.
It was an important one,
another
yeah.
one. It was
I think it
again
was in the
another
first
one
half.
that ended up in either 3 or 7.
Yep.
No, it's 7. It ended up taking them from 3 to 10, and that kind of put them out ahead. And that was started. That was like one where like the Avalanche could have been bad, right?
Oh, yeah.
Afterwards. Yeah, I don't get it. Same thing. It's like it was two undisciplined teams playing each other, right?
Right. They
Florida
both wanted to get away to the other.
Yeah, Florida Atlantic was. What was the penalty? Florida Atlantic was inside their own 5-yard line again on our end, the south end zone, and there was some sort of flag. It pushed them to the 15, and then that's when the pick was right. That's when. That's when the 60-yard return.
My favorite penalty by Florida Atlantic all day.
But,
my favorite one, and you guys probably remember this. And in person, we may have gotten it better than you did on TV. Was the one where the defensive end got around because they were blitzing all day on Burton. They get around, they make the stop, but he absolutely blew up Burton after the play, and he's taunting the crowd as the flag is coming in. His back's turned, and he's like, "Yeah."
It was like free
and
first
the flags
down.
are right there. And I'm like, yeah, dummy. It was so good. That was like my favorite thing of the whole day.
It was
he wasn't like a jerk. He was kind of silly, right? Am I wrong about the?
I mean, I don't think any of the, I don't think any of the penalties were wrong. That's or like I mean there were probably like two, the defensive holding and the Purdue's pass interference, or the pass interference that benefited Purdue, in the end zone that should have been a pick six in the end zone. And so it's like but it just two teams that aren't that sharp to me. And honestly,
Two
like
teams that are okay.
we keep talking around it. So first of all, Purdue is missing six starters or whatever,
Yep.
like six really
That
important
matters.
starters.
Starters.
I mean, like, and we were
Six.
talking about
It's
this,
6.
and we were talking about this at the beginning. Who's the player that we can't really afford to lose? Like we had that question at the
Had
beginning,
both of them.
and
them.
we were
The two
talking
most important players,
Jalen Graham, and
quarterback,
AOC.
defense, and offense, right? So,
And so it's like, but to me, against Florida Atlantic, you can at least keep your level with Austin Burton because of the coaching staff. I mean, this defense without Jalen Graham, was it Cam Allen who was out, or was it?
Cam Allen.
Oh no, Reese Taylor, right, who was out.
He's the fastest corner. Yeah.
And like, but none of them are shut down, but they're all depth. And when you lose depth, you wear. Like corners wear. Corners are the most athletic players on the field, but like they wear
Brom
out so
said,
quickly.
tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you guys watched the press comments, but I think he said Brown and two of the defensive backs played every down.
Yeah.
That's really hard physically. And if you wonder why guys look like oh, I know, Trice. I think he said Brown and Trice played every
That's
down.
right.
So you have a guy coming off an ACL and Brown, who's never been the best cover corner in the world. Maybe looked the part physically, but he's just not the best cover corner.
It's no depth.
That's asking
absolutely
a lot.
No depth. And the tackling was, in general, kind of wrap up tackling was bad. I think this is the third game this year so far where it's been double digit missed tackles. It's just it's just really sloppy, right? And that leads into, and so that's
you say
why
stats like that, and it sounds like Purdue's not very good.
Purdue's injured, right? And so that was Purdue's injured. And the problem is that you are playing probably the toughest team, like not the best. I still think the best team on the schedule was Penn State, but the toughest team, the team that'll punch you in.
I'd say they're the most athletic team on the
schedule.
But
the team that'll punch you in the face the hardest is who's coming up on Saturday, is Minnesota. And that's why it's like Wisconsin, the Wisconsin.
You guys feel good about this, right?
Yeah, it's great.
Great.
What's the line?
Perfect.
It's bad.
I don't even know what the line is, but I'm sure I don't bet, and I can tell you that I don't feel good about it, whatever it is.
Yeah,
I'll tell you right now. It was 10 at the start of the week. Let me look. It is at 12 now.
Yikes!
And the over/under is 52. 12 is a lot for if you're a decent team, and I mean.
But you can go ahead and say, Jay,
is.
You've had some great one-liners to describe this team. Really, to describe the potential of this team. Like you said, a good team wins this game, or a good team handles their business on this one.
Yes.
And Purdue has done their best to tell you, we don't deserve to be called good right now.
Nope.
No, Brom straight up said it, right? And he was I don't think we're very good right now. And that's also coach speak, but
they're also missing a lot of guys, and they are literally 2 final minute touchdowns away from being 4-0. Now, if they had managed to hold those two things off and everything else was the same, I do think we'd be sitting here saying, "Ooh, that's a shaky 4-0 team." I definitely think we'd still be saying,
we would. We would. Everyone may not.
But they'd be ranked about 14th.
No, that's just by process of elimination, just because this season has been so dumb. Yeah.
I think they can. Here's the thing. As we said going into the season, there's nothing on the schedule where you thought, there's no way. Like, they could beat Minnesota. It wouldn't. Sure. The thing with Brom is nothing surprises you. Losing to Florida Atlantic would have not surprised you. Beating Minnesota on the road won't surprise anybody.
I think if Aiden plays, it wouldn't surprise me. If Aiden doesn't play, and there's no Graham, and there's no King DeRue, and there's no Cam Craig,
and there's no Brock Thompson. Brock Thompson's out for a couple more weeks at least, which really sucks because I was so excited to watch Brock this season.
It was. He gave the bowl game, and that was it. He traded the bowl game for his season, right? Like,
but it wrung both he and Graham out, right? Physically.
So Kyle Seago just put up a great comment in our margin here. The season feels similar to 2019. with Sindelar and Moore. Lots of optimism coming in, dampened by injuries to important starters. That's exactly. And you said this, Boiler Dad, like 2 weeks ago. You said this team's starting to look, because of the injuries, you were like, "Ooh, this is starting to look like 19." And that sucks because if this happens in a year where your expectations aren't great, then you just go, "Well, that happens." But they need the injury luck they had over the last couple seasons this year, and they've not had it.
But it reverts to the mean, right? It always reverts to the mean.
They were
it's
lucky
like
a couple
we
times.
had Purdue had a handful of good injury seasons, and it is what it is. Right?
I got an interesting rando trivia for you guys. I was thinking about this after the game, and so I looked it up. And I don't think you'll get this because this is very hard. But Purdue on Saturday had more rushing yards than passing yards. Do you know the last time that was the case?
Ooh, good trivia.
Okay. I got it. I think I got it. I think I got it.
Wait a minute. Don't say anything. I'm trying to think of if you get that right, what will I do? How many hugs do you want? How long of a hug do you want?
A long hug. I don't want many hugs. I just want one really high quality hug.
Okay, what do you think the answer is?
I think it's Purdue versus Northwestern when Rob Henry was quarterback.
Ooh.
So that would have been Daryl Hazel's second season. That's my guess. Okay. I don't know what year that is, but that game was bizarre. And Purdue won the game.
Well, first of all, there's a little bit of a cheat aspect there. Any game where Rob Henry is the quarterback, it's a safe bet to assume there were not many passing yards.
Rob Henry's the quarterback, and Daryl Hazel is the quarterback or is the coach.
Yeah. Daryl Hazel thought he had Ohio State's offense when he was at Purdue. That's the funny thing. Just run the ball into the line. Anish, do you have a guess?
I think it's Hope era. I would think it's Hope era. I wonder if that ever happened during the Tiller era. That's now something that I'm willing, in the 11, 12 years that Tiller was there, I wonder if that ever happened.
They had a game. They had one game under Tiller where they just kept running because the team was like putting 3 down linemen over and over and over. I can't remember. I think it was Brandon Jones and Montreal Lowe combined for I want to say close to 300 yards. Like it was a crazy game because they just kept, I think it was Illinois or somebody like that, where they just kept putting 3 down linemen. And they're like, really?
I'm going to go with a Corey Sheets game. I'm always a Sheets up the middle guy. So let's go Sheets up the middle.
Sheets was a beast.
Okay. So I actually didn't study. Let me look at one. No, I did not study
the answer of your own question.
No, I do. The last time it happened was in 2018. It was actually a Brom team.
A Brom game.
It was. Yeah, how ridiculous is that? My research tells me it's happened 2 times with Brom, and one is going to shock you. So it was 2018, second game of the year, which was, by the way, the game before the Missouri game where Blau threw for 572.
Eastern Michigan?
Yeah, I was going to say
it was rainy. They couldn't throw the ball.
threw for 87, and Knox ran for 152.
DJ Knox. Shout out.
They lost 20-19. The next week, Blau threw for 572, and Knox ran for 23. And the only other time I could see it happening, the only other time I believe it happened under Brom was the year before his first season. I can't believe this. They beat Indiana 31-24. Yeah. Sindelar threw for 159, and Jones ran for 217.
Markel Jones is the IU slayer.
Yes.
So good versus IU.
But that's twice in the Brom era, and this was the first one in over four calendar years since that happened. And it's only because AOC wasn't playing. That would never have happened this year if AOC.
But Downing looked good. Maccabee's a scholarship guy. I don't know how soon they can get him one.
I think Maccabee is the number 1 back next year.
Ooh. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. He's got to put on he can still put on strength, but it could be.
He's
been impressive.
He's got weapons that nobody else has on that team. When he gets up to speed, he hits the hole harder. He gets around the end faster. The fact that Brom said he's not a good pass catcher and all he did was catch passes. He's got tools. He's really, really good. The funny thing is Downing in person, especially on that first run where he went around the left side, he looked like he was shot out of a cannon.
Yeah.
I went back and I watched the film and I was like, he didn't look that fast on the video. I think those were just really, really the right play call.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, Downing very humbly gave all credit to the offensive line, which was great to hear. He said, "Did you see the holes that I was given? I mean, it was easy." And he's right. The offensive line did a great job, really just
It,
blasting holes.
and so to boil it down, like our defense is really where the disappointment is. And like, things like, stupid mistakes and point conversions and like third downs that need to be complete, the midfield third downs that need to be completed, kind of tightening the screws on offense, really. But the defense's inability to stop any kind of momentum without Jalen Graham, on the field is disappointing. Now that Jalen Graham is great, he's an NFL player, he's awesome, he's smart, but like you've got to be able to, fill it. And this game, I mean, Tanner Morgan's not great, but he doesn't make mistakes.
Purdue has made him look like an absolute all-world player. I mean, it's
I
been a
can't
couple
believe he's
years.
still there. He's another one. He's another one.
Hey man, AOC is in his Hummel year.
The difference between AOC and Morgan, though, is AOC. Remember, his career started out very slowly at Purdue.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Morgan started out pretty much. He was either starting or right there. Right.
Yeah.
He was, and so
And
he's
then
been there a long time.
And then they've got Mo Ibrahim, who last year was unhealthy.
And I love the guy. That's the thing. He's one of those guys. I watch him run. I'm like, man, he's fun to watch.
He's so fun. Yeah. It's annoying. It's so annoying that PJ Fleck has a player like that. He had Rashad Bateman, too. That's not fair. He was awesome.
I didn't like Bateman. I do like Ibrahim. I think when Ibrahim went down last year, I was actually a little sad because I was like, I want to see this guy torch people. I like him.
You might get your wish this Saturday. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get a front row seat.
So there are a lot of people in the margins. I can read between the lines here that are very, very worried about Saturday. And here's what I feel.
It's not between the lines. That's the lines. Those are the lines. You're reading the lines.
It comes down to the last possession, and Purdue loses. That's what I feel like is going to happen.
Last possession.
If it's AOC, I mean, and so the flip side is that Michigan State might be bad this year. Like
they are bad.
Again, they should have had a complete reset after D'Antonio, and it just so happened that they rolled everything perfectly with all of the transfers that they had last year. And Kenneth Walker, I mean, was a Heisman finalist. I mean, he was awesome, and so. They might be having their year zero this year, right? So, like Minnesota might look really good and not making any mistakes, but it might be against bad competition.
I was just going to say, let me back that point up. New Mexico State, Western Illinois, Colorado, and Michigan State are their 4 wins. Now,
and Colorado's the worst Power 5 team.
Well,
right now.
Here's the difference, though. They've won by a lot,
convincingly,
every game.
I think they scored 2 or 3 games in the 50s.
They won 38-0, 62-10, 49-7, and 34-7.
I mean, and it's just like we were talking about this. We were talking about this in the offseason, which is why it's so. I mean, it's so infuriating. Like PJ Flex teams are low variance and don't make mistakes.
Right.
I mean, like
it's to me, wild. It's so ironic when you watch that clown talk because you're like, he's so sizzle no steak when he's in front of a microphone. He says the stupidest shit.
Some would say he's a perfect fit for Auburn, but that's just me.
I'd help him pack his bags. I would love it. I would love all of it. I think he should go. I think he's better in warm weather. I think he's made for the warm weather.
Hasn't he
tight pants?
In all seriousness, hasn't he nearly peaked at what he can do at Minnesota? He had a 10 or 11 win season. How much better can he make the Minnesota football program? Guys like that look for the next challenge.
He should leave before Saturdays. But
he should leave before Saturday. This is correct. This is what we're saying.
We're talking about.
Yeah.
And we've had people ask about what about the possibility of Fleck at Nebraska. I'm like, oh hell no, I don't want any of that.
It's not. First of all, he would not leave for Nebraska. He'd leave for SEC. Like I think he'd leave for an Auburn type job.
I don't even want to flirt with it.
But everything. It's actually, I don't believe in his, shtick at all.
No,
but he's been able to build 2 really good programs.
He's a good coach. This is the thing. As much as I don't want to say it, you just have to admit he's a good coach. he builds a program with an identity. It's defense first. They pound on offense. He gets the interior linemen on the same page. The play calling is solid. They don't get stupid flags. They're exact opposite of a Jeff Brom.
And like when
solid, steady program.
When the difference is that it's clear he has a shelf life. Like, and when he explodes,
I'm amazed he's been there that long, right?
I mean, like, I really do think that, like, whenever it ends for him, either at Minnesota or at his next school, it's gonna be explosive. Like, it's gonna be bad, right? But in the meantime, it's like you run a rock steady program, right? And like he did the same thing at Western, right? So it's impressive. They're really good. Them against, if AOC is playing, that's really the only place where I feel comfortable is AOC trying to pick up, like, to take the top off of their defense. AOC and Charlie Jones.
Can you bring up Handel's comment? I think it's a great question, and I know we all have a similar answer. Handel Jones asked, "Do you think Purdue is competent enough to not make mistakes?" No.
I don't know.
They give us no indicator that they can do it. They've given us no indicator. Right?
If you're looking at, like,
I'd love to say
things like evidence and, like, history, then yeah, sure. No, I mean, like, no, obviously not. I was gonna say, like, if you're looking wish fulfillment, like, sure, they're all good, they're all smart. Jeff Brom knows.
Prayer, but
stranger things happen, right? Teams put stuff together. They put it all together sometimes. That happens. It's not.
It usually happens with a Brom team through the year, right? They usually start sloppy and get sharp,
right? And is this team, are they competent enough? Are they capable with the experience? And this is what we've pounded on in the last couple shows. They're too experienced to be this stupid on the field.
Mm-hmm.
That's
the disappointing part.
Yeah, but just right, like, you have enough experience that this should not be happening. So,
did you guys see my tweet? What they're ranked in America in penalties?
Pretty bad, I bet.
Okay, so guess what their rank is. So 1 being the best, 100. I think it's 37 being the worst.
If the over under is 100, I'm taking the under.
Oh yeah, 110.
120.
Ooh,
woof.
And, like, again, this is my takeaway after the Syracuse game. It's like, yeah, a handful of those penalties were nonsense, BS, among the worst calls that I've ever seen. The rest of them, though, are still bad. Like, they're still there. They're still bad. They're undisciplined. Right. And it's like,
it's tough. That, to me, is really the toughest medicine to swallow. Like, I think we can all deal with, and it's a dumb thing to say deal with. We all love the fact that Jeff Brom's program is exciting. I know there are Purdue fans out there. We are definitely not in that group. And I'm guessing if you're here, you're probably not one of the people that says Jeff Brom should be fired. I don't understand those people because their lack of wisdom, lack of historical understanding makes me nuts. It's fun. It's a fun brand of football. Jay said it best. Jeff Brom is exactly what he is. He is high highs, low lows. And generally, the mean is up there pretty good. I mean, I would say I throw out the injury year, the 4-win year, because I think that's a little unfair to say you lose your starting and your second string quarterback and say, yeah, you expect them to have a winning record. I think it's a lot to ask for any program, especially a program with Purdue's depth.
It was the point Anish was making about Michigan State. That was really their year zero because he got lucky and pulled it together in his first year, and then the it came due in his second year, and the luck wasn't there.
On the flip side of this, again, if AOC plays, even without Jalen Graham, I could see Purdue finally ending up on the good side of a shootout.
I do too. I could too.
Sure.
And probably they should have, 2 of the last 4 games that Purdue has played against Minnesota.
Yeah. Anish, could you bring up Boilerman's comment? I think it's a good one. And this is a good segue too. So Boilerman says, these are the same people that say fire Painter. So he's saying the fire Brom people are the same people that say fire Painter. I sent a link to, I think, these guys when I watched the Painter interview this week. Did I send that to you guys?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I sent another thread. Painter had just a 12-minute interview when practice began. If you don't like Matt Painter after you watch that interview, what the heck's
He's the
wrong with you?
best, man. I want to
He's
eat a
so
rack
good.
of ribs
He's
with
so
him.
good. And we can all say, yeah, everyone here in this room, including the people in the margins, we're all heartsick still that they lost to Virginia. Okay. Well, let's just all put the given out there. It sucks. Okay. But Matt Painter is so good in an interview. Compare and contrast the guy that we were just talking about, Jeff Brom, who is horrendous in interviews, in pressers. He is so bad. He doesn't tell you anything. He looks uncomfortable. He's bristly. Like, he's great in person, by the way. You talk to him up close, he's a nice guy. He does not like the media. Painter almost plays with him. He's having a good time. And his encyclopedic knowledge, along with his memory that is freakish, he's so darn good at telling you what's happening. Matt Painter right now thinks this team that he's coaching is interesting, is what I'm hearing, because they can all shoot, which is really, really great. He's also saying, hey, this team is incomplete because we're going to have a freshman playing point guard. And he thinks, it's a weird thing, that if you start a freshman at point guard, it actually stunts their growth. I don't understand that. He's going to be starting a freshman at point guard at some point this season. I think it'll be in January. Before that, he's going to do it by committee. I think you're going to see multiple guys playing point that are out of position. But I love Painter in an interview. That's my whole thing. I love Painter in an interview. I don't want Painter or Brom to leave. I've been very clear about that. But these people that say fire Painter and fire Brom over and over and over, I don't get them, because the whole thing you got to say is we can all, it's like what you guys were talking about a minute ago. Hoping and wishing is nice. But as we get older, we start saying, okay, we have to deal with the real world. Purdue kind of is what Purdue is. I would love it to be different. I'd love for Jeff Brom to become, pick a Wisconsin, Michigan State, Iowa coach, right? That tips the scale and says, okay, Purdue goes to the Rose Bowl or whatever every 4 or 5 years. I'd love for it to happen. It just doesn't feel like it's going to happen. And so Jeff Brom winning 6 to 8 games a year, I'll take it every damn time. Right?
Yeah.
In
When
6 to 8
USC
games,
joins the
we're going to have
conference,
3
we'll
or
go to
4
the Rose
really
Bowl all the
fun
time.
games. We're going to have 1 or 2 that suck, and they're going to be awful, right? But I think we'd all take that.
And so before we go to questions, I think the biggest thing is going to be, Purdue has ended September, with wins against Indiana State and Florida Atlantic, and what was it, a 4-point loss against Penn State because they couldn't come up with one stop either at the end of the half or at the end of the game, and against a 3-point loss against Syracuse because they couldn't, not commit a penalty, or they couldn't convert one more first down, or exactly in the loss in the stupidest way possible. Now we get to the part of the schedule. We're 2-2. Purdue's 2-2. We were all hoping to be 3-1 or 4-0. But we're 2-2 going into October. October, we knew, was the gauntlet of the schedule. Again, this is a relatively easy schedule in the Big Ten, this is about as hard of a stretch as you get in it, particularly with the way that these teams, at least 3 of them, are playing. At Minnesota this weekend, at Maryland, who's a good team next weekend. Next weekend.
Good offense.
Good offense, correct. Good offense.
Not a great team. Good offense, though.
Home versus Nebraska, which they play football, and then at Wisconsin, in the end of October 22nd, then the bye week.
Yep.
What's the record? At the end of October, put it on wax here, because to me, I see 1-3. And honestly, I see 1-3, and then November comes around. You've got Iowa at Illinois, Northwestern.
You love November. You love November,
and I think Purdue goes 4-0 or 3-1 in November, right? But the October could be really tough. You
So
know,
it means you really need to go 2-2 in October to have a season you're not really upset about.
So you see 3 losses in there.
I don't think
you say
I
they lose
think
to Maryland, obviously.
Maryland on the road. I think that team is. With the way this defense is playing. I mean, honestly, that was the biggest thing coming out of the Florida Atlantic game. It was just so disappointing to see the way the defense played. And if Jalen Graham isn't healthy, there, it's like you don't have a bailout, right?
So wait a minute. Are you more concerned with Maryland than Minnesota?
I'm not. I don't think that Purdue has a chance. Like, I'm almost chalking up Minnesota
Sharpie game
and
for you.
Wisconsin as losses. I think the two that Purdue has to get, if you want that 8-win threshold, still is going to be Maryland and Nebraska. And I think Purdue grabs Nebraska, but Maryland's a coin flip, and because it's on the road and the way the defense is playing.
Coin flip games have been good this year.
Well, that's why those early games.
Flip the coin and it just disappears.
Exactly, like the coin.
Coin's gone.
Oh hell! What the wind? How did that happen?
That's why Syracuse and Penn State were so important, because you have this stretch. If you're 4-0 right now,
Absolutely.
and you go 2-2 in October,
let's just say
6-2.
Syracuse was important more than Penn State. I think any level-headed fan would have said Penn State's a tough game.
That's what we said. This at the
Syracuse
beginning.
Game is egregious, right? That's
we're not level-headed fans, and we said this at the beginning of the season. Fine, do what you want with Penn State, but the rest have to be wins, right?
Yeah. Yep. You get one freebie in there, and
so I'm going to be optimist. I'm going to
almost
go first
3
on this. I'm going to say my optimistic. Well, it's what I pick. I'm still going to say 8 wins.
Well,
and I think you may say I'm crazy, but it's all based on Jeff Brom's history. And I think they get there in an unconventional way, which is another Jeff Brom-ism.
Oh, sure.
But I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to go 2-2 in October. Okay.
Losing to Maryland and Nebraska, right? That's what will happen.
That'd be amazing. No, I think they go 2-2, and then they lose to Iowa and then win the final 3.
I think I could. I mean, I could see that. And
that Iowa game has scared me since the offseason.
Oh, and it should, because you can't. They can't beat Iowa forever.
You can't keep doing this.
You can't keep doing it. And it's not at Kinnick. It's not at Kinnick, where Purdue actually has partial ownership. Jeff Brom actually owns.
It's
Kinnick.
bizarre how
it's very bizarre.
They've got the damn deed of that place. Doesn't make any sense.
It's terrible. They're terrible.
They should feel ownership.
Bad. They should feel bad. Their linebacker, I think, went out, unfortunately. Very good. I think he was a linebacker or is a defense something. He is their leading scorer. So it's rough.
It's a tough. That's a
tough. It's rough. It's a tough loss. Their defense has scored more than their offense. Their defense has outgained their offense.
It's really, really hard.
Come on, what are we doing?
If we're gonna let's be fun. Let's be fun. Here is a way that most teams you'd say, oh, if you do that, there's no way you come out of this death spiral. But here's my off the wall pick. All right, here it is. Purdue beats Minnesota, beats Maryland. Okay, loses to Nebraska, Wisconsin, Iowa, and then wins out because you're like, okay, momentum's gone, or wow, they've got all the momentum. Now here we go, and then lose to Nebraska.
The Boyd Sports Analytics desk just wants to let you know that if Purdue goes 2-2 in October and 3-1 in November, they have 7 wins.
Yeah, 7. That doesn't get you.
That doesn't add up to 8.
The bowl that gets you 8 then, because you know how good they are.
Bowl game, yeah, sure.
They're reliable.
Yeah, which is usually what happens.
I'm going to say 7 then because I just don't see. See,
I think exactly. I think this.
I'm so. I've got
it's close.
Problem. I've got all these historical ideas that are on my shoulders, but I saw what you guys saw. I'm not so blind and dumb to say I've missed the result of Syracuse and how they lost, and I missed the Florida Atlantic game and how they lost. I saw it. I think those 2 games look like a team that's any place from mediocre to bad. Okay.
Handle Jones says bipolar makers. That's a T-shirt right there. That's a T-shirt.
Maybe that'll show up on our
Redbubble. Go to redbubble.com/boiler
D.
Boiler D.
Yep.
The D stands for D nozzle.
What do you say, Jay? Do you say 7 wins is possible? So I say 7. not
Certainly.
8. Sorry.
I think 7 is still possible.
5 more wins. Yep. I think, like I said, nothing
But
surprises
again,
me with Brom. So,
but you got to win. You got to win what 3/4 of your games left. You know what I mean? And that's a lot.
to get 5, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
There's 8 left. Yeah, you're right. Close.
I mean,
Yeah.
like it's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And
let's be logical. But okay, Minnesota loss, Maryland 50-50, Nebraska win, Wisconsin of course win. That's a joke. Loss, Iowa 50-50, Illinois, I don't know.
yeah, who
Northwestern
knows?
win.
They're better than you think.
Yeah.
It's November.
Okay,
It'll
Purdue's
be
going to win
Brom
2
then.
games. All right, they're not going to win another game. Fine. I looked at the whole thing. No, I don't think that. That's the whole thing. I can't get to the point where I'm going to resign the season either. I just
No.
don't believe that because Bromvember is a thing. It's real. If they have anybody, if AOC is at all healthy, they'll roll through November, at least 3-1.
It's the biggest. I mean, it's the biggest injury question so far. And the big thing is like whether if they think he is almost there but not quite, do you keep him out this game because it's just not a great matchup, and you just it just times out for another good week of rest for him coming into a really important
Yeah, I
game
think he
against
was
Maryland.
held out last week and he could have gone. And I think
Yeah.
I believe Brom, and he talked and said, "Hey, you know what? Austin can do this." And
so,
I also think there's a weird loyalty thing happening with Burton. Like, obviously, he looked like he had a grasp on the system was there.
Oh,
He
yeah.
just does not look like a fit for Brom's offense to me.
I thought he looked fine. They had to tailor
It's
the
not the
game
same
for
offense.
him. No,
That was
it's
not the same offense, right?
It's not
They
the
played a
same.
completely weird version of the Jeff Brom offense.
But it was
It's fine.
effective enough, right?
Right.
Yeah, it was fine.
And you gotta love Burton. Like, there's another guy in a presser, right? He was great. Like,
Yeah.
I loved his answers. I loved his attitude was good. I can understand why Brom likes him so much, but man, they can't all the things Brom talks about. He talks about chunk plays over and over. He's in love with chunk plays, right? So that'd be a good idea. And Purdue can't get big chunks without something weird happening, like a guy missing a tackle. Really,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just can't.
Yeah,
Jay,
I mean,
do you have
without
a
AOC.
real prediction, or do you have one, or do you have a gut feeling there
For the
October.
week for this game?
for the season?
For the season, no, I like your 7.
Okay.
Or I know you're saying 8, but I like
Yeah,
your math before that brings you to
I'm an
7.
idiot. So you got to take
I
that
think-
with a grain of salt.
Well,
This is the analytics desk. It's just that's what we're
right,
here
that's
for.
perfect.
because I think the problem is just as I would say you can't be surprised by any wins, you really can't be shocked if you isolate each of the next, well, let's say 3 of the next 4. If they lost to Nebraska, I'd be upset. But if they lose to Minnesota or Maryland or Wisconsin on the road, none of them are shocking. None of that would be shocking.
No.
So, like, they could easily be what would that make them? 3-5 going into Bromvember? I mean, that's a problem.
But then if you rattle off
That's
4
a
straight,
problem.
like I do think that could happen, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the biggest thing though is this weekend. Honestly, if AOC plays, feel good about it. It's better of a it's a better shot at a 50-50 game. If it's Burton without Jalen Graham, without AOC, it's gonna be tough, and it'd be impressive. I mean, like, again, if Purdue pulled out a win against this Minnesota team, solid, they're tough.
Yep.
That and the other part of this, and I should be specific about where on the defense. It's the outsides of the defense that are like disappointing, and again, it was kind of exacerbated against a really fast team like Florida State.
Absolutely.
You look at Florida State, that was
Or
the
Atlantic.
team that Danny Hope was trying to build. You know
That's
what I mean?
exactly what it is. That's a good comparison.
And
Very
it
good
was
comparison.
it was a speed team on both sides of the ball,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And they just beat Purdue on the outside corners. And so it's like but Purdue, to their benefit, Purdue is really tough in the middle. And so that is going to be maybe where Purdue stops Ibrahim. But if they can get to the outside, Like if they can get him, outside in a little bit of space, that's where it could be dangerous. So I mean, there is a chance, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I still think the spread is,
Purdue's guys up front. They're strong.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
they're very
especially
good.
the middle guys. Oh,
Yeah. Yep.
By the way, I don't want to. If you're doing this live, if you're listening to this recorded, you'll know what happened. I just went over to Twitter to take a look at if we got any feedback on Twitter, and I saw in the trending category Tua.
It's
was
bad.
carried off the field on a stretcher. The stretcher hit in the second quarter.
Well,
not very good.
LBD just came in and showed me 2 back-to-back videos. One was Tua got injured versus somebody where he was concussed and he kept playing, and this one he got slung down and they took him off on a stretcher.
Awesome.
So it's too bad
because it was a back. But they said it wasn't concussion. They said it was a back injury. Like it was a back instability, and so that could have been kind of where it is. And then Tua's broken his hip. Man, when you get paid, just walk away. Do the Andrew Luck thing. Get your $100 million and leave.
Right. Goodbye.
Yeah, don't keep playing.
Let me ask you guys quick before we move on to the next segment, because I know we're very organized. We have segments. Segment. Who do you guys
Jay Money, you missed the pre-production meeting. It's okay. Go ahead, bother
we had a big meeting. The intern on it today. Really good. So who do you give Purdue better odds of beating, Wisconsin or Minnesota?
I mean, I have a mental block against seeing Purdue win against Minnesota.
That's the point.
Minnesota. I thought you were going to say Wisconsin. A mental block.
I mean the other way. I'm sorry, against Wisconsin. Yeah. And so it's like I would say Minnesota, but because I just can't see it. That being said, again, Jay Money, you are entirely right. On paper, Wisconsin is not very good this year. Minnesota is great this year, and so you'd say, the Badgers, but I just can't.
But it's still Wisconsin. That's 20 years of ineptitude. I think are we at 19 years, something like that?
No, I think it was 98, wasn't it?
No.
There's Breeze.
Is it 98?
I thought so.
No. Because the Ashante Woodyard team is at 2000. So it's 21 years. Is that right?
I don't know. Man, I'm just scrolling through.
2000. It's 2000.
I'm just scrolling through Wisconsin's starting running backs, and it's
2003. Handel Jones says
it's a house of horrors. I mean,
so 19 years. See, just like I said, because I'm really smart. It's 19 years.
JT, Melvin Gordon. I mean, we
just have we have multiple answers. That's great.
Monty Ball, just rolling
just
over us.
Y'all
remember John Clay? Gee, that man was scary.
So did you say Handel said 2003? Because he
does say 2003.
2003, Purdue won in Madison 26.
There you go, the good doctor coming from the.
And Mercy. What's amazing is they didn't play for 3 years before that. The last time they played before that was 2000. They also were in Madison, and Purdue also won.
And they won that game. That was the Ashante Woodyard overtime return.
Yes.
Things were easy back then, guys. Purdue just came out and they beat Wisconsin. It was
2003. 19
I just can't. I cannot see it. I'm sorry. I know that fair. Logic and analytics says it's more likely, but I can't see it.
Right.
That's also, by the way, that's also their last win over Wisconsin. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly. Not just in Madison.
No, that was the last win.
Yeah. So
it's just a complete mismatch of styles, and
they've only lost 7 in a row in Madison, which isn't. I mean, it's not good, but 7 over 19 years. 1, 2, 3. Hold on a second here.
Analytics test.
8 in West Lafayette in that span.
So I
guess the point is
they haven't beaten Wisconsin in 19. They haven't won at Minnesota in this stadium at all.
Nope, that's right.
So I think I love when people say this statistical whatever. They're due. That's not true.
It's not a thing.
Yeah, sometimes it's just thing. You can't. Sometimes there's a reason.
The reason is style of play.
How about this? How about the fact that Purdue has only beaten Minnesota 1 time in the last 11 years? How about that? Gosh. That's worse than the Wisconsin.
That's
streak,
much worse. Because Wisconsin
worse.
Has been a beast of a program.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Minnesota is not.
Minnesota. So Purdue
that
won.
Means Kill.
Purdue won in 17. They won in Brahms for. Oh yeah, that's right. They run Brahms
Clays.
first
What's
year.
His name? Kill and Clays. Both
yeah, Tracy Clays.
Clays. Was he that who was there in 17? No, that was
No, that was
PJ's
still
first
Jerry.
year. That was PJ's first year. 17. He's been there.
That
This
was
is
PJ's because they started the same year. Yeah.
Sixth season. It's insanity. But the last time they won, let me look this one up. The last time they won in Minneapolis, holy smokes, 2007. Mercy.
And I mean, the most recent ones were the Payne Durham pass interference. That was blatant, and we all definitely saw it. We all definitely saw the pass interference, guys. That happened. And then it was the game that we were at, the last game before this season that we were at, when Rondale and Eli both went down on the same play.
That's that's one of my least favorite Purdue memories. Full stop.
It was bad.
I left. I pulled a Boiler Dad's brother move and just exited.
Just disappeared.
It was gone into the ether. And just stared went to the Purdue
going
fields and
eat, and I just kept walking.
Went out for cigarettes, and we never saw Daddy again.
Daddy never came home.
Man, that was
So Greg McManus reminds us of the Juwan Bentley game, the storm delay, and that's an interesting game for me and my family. All four of us were there.
I remember that.
Incredible game. My daughter was she's a little one, and my wife said, "We got to get her home. This is absurd. We've been waiting underneath the concourse."
Where did you guys shelter? In the concourse? Okay.
And I was like, but I said, you know what? You're right. This is dumb. So we got in the car and yelled in the car down 65 as Purdue.
And was that a Bentley? Was that the Bentley game?
He was not driving a Bentley.
I was not.
Oh, no, yes.
I was not. I was driving a
I like how he says we were driving down the highway and you said, was that a Bentley?
No, it was not.
It was
definitely not.
But Juwan Bentley, I think, had the interception to steal it.
It was
at the end, or seal it at the end of the game.
To steal it. To steal it.
Minnesota has stolen enough of Purdue's thunder. So.
Oh my gosh. So we didn't get a ton on Twitter. You guys are letting me down, but I guess I have to lead you horses to water to make you drink. I have to give you some sort of I have to give you like direction or a question or something like that. Like next week we'll talk about Oreos because. Man, does this group have some opinions?
Oh, do we have Oreo thoughts for you?
Oh, bizarre!
Bizarre
how opinionated we are on Oreos.
If this weekend is unwatchable, next week it's dedicated to Oreos. I don't think we should talk about Purdue football at all.
Yeah.
So jumping over to Twitter, though, the one thing that a couple people did point out, Greg McManus was leading the charge. He was begging for a handsome hour because he thinks there should be a thorough breakdown of. We put it on Twitter, so if you haven't seen this, you got to get out to Twitter and take a look. But Hail Varsity Radio, whatever the hell that is, some sort of Nebraska thing, I assume.
Goodness, that's great.
I'm not even sure if it's specific to Nebraska, but anyway, they had on a former coach. An abusive coach. I like the picture they chose, though, is of him with a little kid on his shoulders, high-fiving a player because he's such a family man.
He's a good guy.
Who slapped his wife around. Oh, I mean, sorry, yeah. So anyway, Coach Kaz, they call him. He went.
It's like whenever a mass murderer is on the news and you see him with his family on a jet ski.
Yeah.
What? The quote. There's many quotes, but he said, "Let's be honest."
Everyone in this picture.
He said, "Let's be honest. Tom Allen, is there a bigger clown in college football than that guy? For the love of God, we cannot lose to Indiana." Now, number one, using the "we" when you're not part of the program anymore is also kind of weak because it's like you got fired for cause, I believe. And you suck, and you're not part of it. They don't want you to be part of it.
No.
And so leaving that aside, I think I said in our group chat it's rare that you're going to find us ever defending Tom Allen. But one thing we've all agreed on is he's not a bad guy. And he also is a head coach.
People, he and Lovey are my two favorite Big Ten coaches in the last decade.
And he's let's not forget, he's an employed, well-paid head coach who won 8 games a couple of years ago with Indiana, got them ranked, got them to a bowl game. So you can make fun of him if you want, but what are you, dude? And what is the program you're using the we? Do you want to compare?
He's an effing glory boy from Notre Dame.
A Notre Dame player who slaps his wife.
He's a bad person off the field.
Yes.
And he's still demanding people call him coach. And now he's talking crap about a guy who actually is doing a job. And he's giving, by the way, he's running around doing media circuit stuff, telling you about IU versus Nebraska. And he's also sounded off about Notre Dame joining or not joining the Big Ten in the last week to a media outlet. Why the hell would anybody listen to this guy? I can tell you what, though. You've pissed off Tom Allen. I'm sure of it. And Tom Allen is a rah-rah guy. I think IU
exactly what he needs.
Bloodies them. Exactly. You just threw gasoline on the fire. If there's one thing Tom Allen's good at, it's motivation.
I think his players like him too.
Oh, they love him.
You've got a room full of Purdue fans rooting for IU over Nebraska, and it's not even close.
Exactly.
We put it to the group chat. And we were like, "Yeah, we're all rooting for IU. What are you talking about?"
IU now?
Yep.
Yeah, in this case, yes, we do, and we'll all admit it. We'll all go out in public and admit it.
Absolutely.
This is a good versus evil thing too. A guy that beats his wife. Get the hell out of here.
So I do want to. So everybody's talking in the right hand. Everyone's reliving their memories.
Yeah,
all of you have to be
fun.
of a certain age. People are talking. Kevin Past is talking about
the Brandon Hance comeback. By the way, that's the greatest Purdue Minnesota game.
That was still unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. It makes no sense. If you watch any football, you're like, no.
What was the ending?
Hance leads them back, and he brings them. When they get the ball back, like 20 seconds to go, he gets them into field goal range with no time. Yeah, it was absurd. The benefit of the clock stopping to move the chains is how Purdue won that game.
Right, that's it.
Because Hance would throw a pass.
Gosh darn it.
They'd move the chains, and he'd snap the ball, and he'd throw a pass.
Okay, yeah.
And it
was a field goal. It was Dort. Was it Dorsch? Yeah.
Dorsch, Mr. Automatic.
That was Brandon Hance's.
We've always said it.
Before he went into porn or whatever he wound up doing next.
He's a doctor of sports psychology, you jackass.
Whatever.
He is.
He's a whore either way.
Mean-spirited porn.
He had the porn mustache. Maybe that's what
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So the thing I wanted to point out, though, is somebody says, Kevin Pass says, I think we had a what? What?
I'm still laughing at you. Said he went into porn. I can't get over that. It's amazing.
That's a different Purdue football alum. Sorry. Kevin also says this one just makes me laugh because of Boiler Dad, the era you and I grew up in. Kevin must be our age because he says, I think we had a big win in Mini with Allstott. It was a shootout, if I remember right. Every game from about 1990 to 95 with Minnesota was like 59 to 56.
Horrible.
It was always two teams that could not stop anyone. At least that's my memory. Let me look here.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you're going to look at it. It's going to be not the case, but I remember the same way.
59-56 is literally a score. Purdue, right. Purdue lost 59-56 in 93 to Minnesota.
Fun.
They won 49-37 the next year. They lost 39-38 the year after.
These are great.
2 years later, they beat Minnesota in 97, 59-43. Like these, it's ridiculous. They're
amazing. These are amazing.
And those were 93 too. 93 was one of the worst Purdue teams ever, and they scored 56 points and lost. It's amazing.
Wait, amazing. Is that so? Who would have been at the con there? It wasn't Matt Pike driving the team up.
93.
It had to be Tresker.
No, 93. You told me Pike was the one starting in that. That's the 1-11 team.
Gosh, darn it!
I think
it had to be Tresker though. It had to be Tresker.
Tresker could actually sling it a little.
Dickin?
No, not 93.
Too soon, right?
I don't think he was there yet. Yeah.
He was there. He was on the roster in 93.
He wasn't throwing the ball. He wasn't passing though. But I mean, hell,
third Pike, Tresker, and there's a third quarterback that kind of played into the. It doesn't matter. Why the hell do we care? All right, that's not important. It's not important.
Well, the great part about the interwebs is you can find this kind of stuff. Oh crap! It's not there. Literally, it's listed on Sports Reference, but there's no box score.
Great. It's too long ago. It's like this was before the box score existed. No, that's not true. That's a lie. That's a lie. I guess can't see a Matt Pike team scoring that many points.
Have you ever tried to watch a game? Have you ever tried to watch a game from like 1995? It's wild.
I was at them.
No. There. On the TV.
I was in college at that point.
Yeah, your eyes are still the same. In fact, your eyes are a little worse right now. So it's probably, then the game probably looked better in person.
Purdue
but
scored
on TV,
more. It was always in HD in person.
At the time, Purdue had scored more in a loss than any college team ever had.
Yeah. Neither of you needed glasses.
Mike Allstott had 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, man.
It may have been Pike. That's an incredible thing because I'm telling you, Pike could not push the ball up the field at all. And they had Brian Alford on that team. future NFL wide receiver for the Giants, I believe.
Purdue coach Jim Coletto said, "We did it the hard way. They did it the fun way. My kidney is hurt from yelling so much."
That's fine.
My
that
kidney's
should be
hurt.
that should be on his tombstone.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a great quote.
And we all
all
feel
right,
so.
well,
To sum up, to wrap it all in a.
it's like
wrap it
like a
up,
20-point
feel really
loss.
good about the Minnesota, right?
What's that?
If
I'll
the-
take a
if-
59-56 game this weekend. That sounds
There
like
you
fun.
go.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be sick. I'd be like,
It's I think it'll be like 40s, 30s, 40s to high 20s. I think it's
You're saying take the
know,
over because it's the over-under is only 52.
Yeah, I'd probably say take the over.
Yeah, I think so.
It's
if
not
AOC's
going to
playing,
rain.
take the over.
If AOC's playing, yeah, exactly. If AOC's playing, take the over.
I think he's playing. There's a rumor on Golden Black that he was seen in a uniform after
Gasp.
Tuesday practice. There's no proof that he actually practiced, but maybe he's just modeling it, just showing how it fit.
It's Halloween
and they
is
didn't say
coming
what
up.
kind of uniform. Maybe he was in an Air Force uniform. Who knows?
Exactly.
That's a good point.
That's
I
an
didn't
excellent
think of
point.
that.
He was
Dang,
seen in a uniform.
maybe he's in a
Maybe
Boy
Burger
Scout
King.
uniform.
Right.
Seems like a good guy.
He's
Let's
going on
not
the way
delve into
from
it.
practice to a meet. Yeah, makes
Exactly.
sense.
He's probably
He's
elite.
married now. He's like, he's volunteering
the
in the
community.
community and stuff. Yeah.
Good point.
Makes sense.
All good stuff.
We'd like to thank
So
our
we say
sponsors.
win. All three of us.
Oh
right?
yeah, lots of wins.
Great. Yeah, no
Um,
problem.
Being together watching Purdue football virtually together is a win in
That's
my
a
book.
win. That's the win.
Yes, correct. Continue, J-Mud.
No, I just wanted to thank our sponsors. Now, I know we always laugh because we sometimes forget to mention them till the end. However, they are always in the voiceover intro. We do thank our sponsors. Martin Vintage, enter 15 and you'll get boiled off. Enter boiled at checkout.
You'll get boiled off.
15% off. And go to AJ's on Vine Street in West Lafayette. And again, I can say with experience, it is good stuff. It's a good experience. It's a good spot. It's good, comfortable seats, good food, good beer. Don't push the little magnet thing in the bottom of your beer though.
No,
until you're done, because you'll get wet.
J Money and Boiler Down saw each other last weekend, and they got boiled off with each other. It was great.
we did.
I don't know what that
We
means.
entered 15 and we got boiled
Not sure
off.
what you're saying. I'm not sure what that means.
It was great. We had a great parking spot last week. We had 2 grills going. It was beautiful.
We can answer that
great.
question by Noodle. I will. Noodle asked Gridiron Metalworks back as a sponsor. No, nothing in that.
Screw those guys. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's not true. We don't even know. We don't even know who's in charge at this point.
Anish and I were talking about the fact that Derek Diltz literally just vanished,
Evaporated.
and that's a big guy to vanish. But he vanished into the ether.
I mean,
He just is gone.
Big.
He deleted his socials and he sold Gridiron and no idea.
I've texted him. I've got his.
Put the
personal
bat
phone.
signal out
He's
for Derek.
responded.
Derek,
He
just
has-
blink
He has or
twice if
hasn't
you're
responded?
okay.
He has responded.
He has. He's doing okay. He's had a rough summer. Personally, he had great thing happen, and then he had a rough thing happen, and he's doing okay. But the weird thing is, like, super engaging guy, and now, no.
Charisma. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But I
But
do.
we had a
appreciate
good.
everyone tuning in.
We had a solid tailgate. We had some people coming up, so
Yeah.
that was good. And it was good. It's a good time. It was a beautiful day. That was the other thing. Took J Money Jr. around. The problem when you show a 12-year-old around campus on a gorgeous day, clear blue skies, is that he wants to go there, and he thinks it's like that every day.
Every time.
Just a
Yeah.
gorgeous mid-70s, like clear blue skies day on homecoming, so families are
He said
having
it's
it
like this
around.
all the time here. Indiana
Everything
is-
was decorated.
Always 72 and sunny. And
It was full. Every flower was in full bloom.
all the pretty girls are out in their shiny gold pants.
exactly.
We saw that over and over.
And so he was like, "Wow, now I want to go to Purdue." And I'm like, "This is why. It's dangerous. This is how you get sucked in.
Oh man, go somewhere that will
Wonderful
make me
day.
happy.
Wonderful day.
You can at least go somewhere warm if they lose."
FAU, perhaps.
Oh, all right.
Well,
anything else you boys have? We're at an hour 13, and I think that's
No,
more than enough
it's fun.
damage.
Fun. Thanks for everybody
Yeah.
who tuned in live. Thanks to my similarly dressed co-hosts. Thanks to our sponsors. And thank you, listener, who is listening on delay. Have confidence. Good things are coming, maybe in October, maybe in November. Until then, love you guys.